Yeah, I just wanted to think back and remember really good ideas. You know, some of the suggestions are things that we're kind of tying the things that we're already working on. So the boat idea. So we're working in partnership with British Waterways at the moment to develop a floating garden that's going to sit on the canal here. So that's around having a food growing space for the local community to learn a little bit more, and again to diversify our educational programme. So again, that's going to be primarily a forest garden on a hopper boat, but we're going to put habitat around the boat, so floating baskets, that are nesting habitat for marine life and birds. So that ties in really well with that aspect, but it would be quite nice if we could develop that, so we're looking to pilot that scheme. But British Waterways are maybe quite keen to develop that within the Olympic site area as well. So if it proves successful here, we might be able to roll it out somewhere else.
Has that been, because I know that there's a big drive on for food growing, and that this is a big, you know, it's the top of, well, one of the top sort of items for the Mayor of London, and there's a lot of, was that, did that influence your sort of decisions around what to use the site for, or was that something that you were sort of growing into anyway?
I think it was something that was growing anyway. I mean, Michelle, I think maybe sort of pioneered food growing here with her project Budding Together. But one of the issues for Camley Street is that because the site is a coal dump, we can't grow anything edible within the soil. So Michelle was again using containers and built up areas that you could grow vegetables that they contain in fresh soil. So we quite wanted to develop that principle, and again we felt that we could, because we have a very busy schools programme, if we could diversify what we could offer to schools rather than just coming to visit us, once a term to learn about the environment. They could visit us 3 times a term to learn about food growing, nutrition, and also learn about sustainability. So we just thought we could diversify everything out here, and because we're very much lacking on space as well. The reserve's pretty much there. There's not a lot of empty space here, so we thought by actually going onto the canal, it gives us a whole new area that we can investigate. And again, having a boat, we can bring in uncontaminated soil to actually grow edible crops. And again, it provides a habitat as well. So within Camden's Biodiversity Action Plan, they've got targets around putting in canal habitat, so around meterage of canal habitat. So again, we'd be working with Camden to try and help them hit their targets around nesting sites for birds up and down the canal.
That sounds really interesting, and some targets then. Once you've got sort of targets, you can see how much time and money and space that would take.
Again, if it, there's a pilot here that works, then we could try and promote rolling it out down all of London's canals, bit by bit, or working with British Waterways as a partner to identify spaces where we can put in similar facilities, really. Another thing you're mentioning about taking LWT work outside of Camley Street. I don't know if you know, we're developing a partnership with Thornhill Bridge Community Gardens. They're basically, if you follow the canal, they're just down by Islington Tunnel. So where the Islington Tunnel is, there's another community garden site that's just down there. They have their Islington rather than Camden, and they have an education programme, so local schools from Islington visit their site. We're looking at a project that would involve a floating classroom, Beach and Lodge, which is currently based at Westminster. Are quite keen to maybe develop work in this area, so we were hoping to have a floating classroom that could take children from Camley Street down to Thornhill Bridge, where they can turn around and then come back up again. So it kind of would be an expansion of our work, if you like, working with more community partners, and also if you like taking the work of LWT out a little bit more. So that suggestion falls perfectly in line. But I mean, that's that's one step. But I mean, I think the suggestions you made are quite interesting to maybe explore those as well and see if it's possibility to utilise other spaces up and down the canal, because we don't really use it. I think now and again we have a group that might moor up on a canal boat to come and visit the reserve, but most people are coming up and down here. So I think it's a great suggestion to try and use the canal more to bring people into the reserve. I think could be a really good strategy.
And obviously that follows the example of the floating classroom that is currently operated in the kind of Paddington Basin, Little Venice area by the Beecham Trust. They funded that project there.
I don't know, Alison or Michelle, do you have any questions or observations?
One thing I was thinking about was, did anybody look into the impact of wildlife in any projects with that? Was that part of it? Sorry.
Well, I mean, it should be part of it.
It is a nature reserve, and although it's very community based, that is an important part of the reserve as well. It's the focus for wildlife. So the impact, say, a hot air balloon would have on the birds in the area, because it casts a big shadow, and that may be seen as being a predator and things like that. Any study of that probably needed.
I think that sounds really interesting, and I'm sure that there will be work that we can access.
And that's where you can use our guys, outside of the knowledge for that, and tap into our resources and the experts that we have here.
That's terrific, because you have a whole range, obviously.
Not just, throughout the wildlife.
I did try to, I mean, in terms of what sort of habitat creation, I did think that you guys would be better placed to talk about what those sort of changes would look like. I did find that it was difficult to actually find any sort of data on how much habitat is created. There was sort of, certainly for the Regent's Canal, I mean, I found things that there were places that are being studied, but it seems that they're not really being studied. They haven't been studied really long enough to have a lot of conclusive data. And I spoke to one of the anglers on the canal, and he thought if he caught a gudgeon, it would be a really good sign, you know. And I thought, well, maybe that's a target species, you know, because he was saying that they just don't appear if there's any diesel in the water. So, you know, but then I also found sort of conflicting information to say that there were gudgeon and all kinds of, apparently there's also crocodile and goldfish in the canal. I guess people just sort of dump things in there, but that it was difficult to find sort of targets that way. But I did think that you guys would be sort of better placed for some of that information. Brought really like too many people to this specific location. Maybe, you know, I mean, the same idea though, you can see Camley Street and it can be implemented somewhere like Camden Street. You know, you wouldn't have to go very high up really from Camden. There's certainly a lot of people there who are, you know, who are tourists who would be like, oh great, you know, have a ride up a balloon. It could bring money into Camley Street. It could also educate people who were interested in a more conservative way to see the area and see what the projects that you are doing along the canal as well.
Interesting, and the boat idea, because it does mean, you know, increases the space that we're in. Like taking groups out on the boat, they're no longer on the reserve. You know, one of the conclusions I think that the groups came up with from the last event was around when we have our new building and footbridges in. We were looking at possibly restricting entrance, because at the moment people can just come in, they can walk around the whole of the site unrestricted. If we have much greater footfall, we probably want to restrict where people can go, or maybe have guided tours, so that you can maybe have every half an hour we would lead a tour that would go around with smaller groups so that we won't overrun. But having a tower or a balloon could deal with that as well, and then you could maybe go up to the balloon and look down the reserve, and then you could maybe walk around and guide tour later. So that would be quite a good strategy. But yeah, that's one of the very sore points for us, I think, to make sure that we remain what we are and we don't damage the environments that we're trying to create and maintain, but also that we engage with more people and, you know, are open to everyone. So it's always a bit of a conflict, I think, for the wildlife trust for our smaller sites. So it's quite a key area that we need to work on.
I mean, maybe this